So here we are on episode 84. Um, Once again, it's difficult to commence things as we have to begin with an in memoriam, which is a two-parter in the form of two Hall of Fame goaltenders having followed Ken Dryden into the big rink in the sky. Quite a lot of goaltender depth now up there. I'm sorry. I know this is probably very tone deaf sounding. I don't know. It's been quite a succession here, like a turn of events this month. It's just hard to put it in proper terms. But of course, on September 14th, exactly 1 week ago, Eddie, a Hall of Famer, most well-time, remembered for his time with the New York Rangers, of course, passed away at his home in Birmingham, Michigan, at the age of 86. Some noteworthy stories from his career include that he was a notoriously difficult opponent for the Montreal Canadiens, appropriately enough. His reflection on this topic was, the nice thing was they could embarrass you on Saturday night in Montreal, then you could shut them out the next night back in New York, having taken the same train to our rink. I remember Boom Boom Jeffrey oncoming to our car, BSing, and the next night we'd have to kick the stuffing out of them. During the first round, of course, as noted on the Ken Dryden tribute episode, the Rangers faced the Canadiens in 1972, with him notably making a clutch save, which really just made no logical sense, on Frank Mahovlich late in that series clinching Game 6 victory by a margin of 3-2. Of course, well, the Rangers posed a considerable, opponent to the Boston Bruins in that year's finals. So they did not emerge forth victorious, but it was definitely, one of that run definitely encapsulates part of why he just really captured the imagination of that fan base. Really was a scrappy, Italian diaspora member who was, very like thin and wiry, but very much like a workman's goalie. With it was a classic stand-up style goaltender, but with considerable athleticism by the standard of the era to compensate for his lack of frame. But beyond that, when you look at it from like a standpoint of statistics, his 289 career wins and 54 career shutouts are still fairly high on all-time leaderboards, despite the fact that there's been like a considerable amount of shakeup to the hierarchy of statistically all-time great goaltenders. And of course, his franchise records have mostly been broken by the likes of Mike Richter and Heinrich Lundqvist since then. But nevertheless, still very much like a part of the canon for that franchise. Rightfully, when 100 Ranger Greats was published in 2009, he was number 6 out of all 901 players that they had worn that jersey in their first 82 seasons. He shared a Vezina with Gilles Villemur in 1971. was selected to the All-Star game 6 times, was a first-team All-Star twice, and a second-team All-Star 3 times, and was Hall of Fame class of '87 member. And that, of course, leads us. But also, I also want to point out that part of his historical significance also was that there was something of a no man's land period for the Rangers culturally for maybe a couple of years after Andy Bathgate was traded to the Toronto Maple Leafs, where, of course, he immediately won a Stanley Cup with them before being traded to the Red Wings a little over a year later, or give or take. Whereas, Giacomin really was there to, pretty shortly thereafter to take up the mantle as a franchise-defining star for them. So, it's pretty interesting to frame it in that way. It's just something I was sort of thinking about going into this. But, of course, now we additionally had said farewell today to honor the greatest goaltender in Philadelphia Flyers history in the form of Bernie Parent. Similar build at 5'10", 170, and an even more decorated career when considering with the Niagara Falls Flyers in the OHA, he was a Memorial Cup victor in his junior career. And additionally, of course, at the pro level, was a two-time Vezina Trophy winner, a two-time Conn Smythe winner as the backbone of both of the back-to-back Stanley Cup victories that the Broad Street Bullies rattled off in those 1974-75 campaigns as the first post-six expansion franchise to win the Stanley Cup. And prior to the Vegas Golden Knights, the fastest ever expansion team to win the Cup in history. Beyond that, he was additionally an All-Star 5 times, first-team All-Star in both of those championship years. And, of course, was a member of the 1984 Hall of Fame class and was listed 63rd on the Hockey News 1998 version of the 100 Greatest Hockey Players, and rightfully so. And, of course, also noteworthy from that 73-74 campaign is his still standing record for most regulation wins in a single season by a goaltender, with his overall wins only being surpassed by Martin Brodeur in the 06-07 season. Of course, Perrant's season was notably shorter and also did not have overtime or shootouts in his era. Making this, of course, a statement that was very, very significant about how dominant he was in that time period. It's very arguable that those were the best back-to-back seasons that a goaltender has ever had. I wouldn't say that with 100% certainty, but I wouldn't argue against anyone who did. Of course, his post-playing career involvement with the franchise was notably lesser than a number of his fellow alumni. He did spend time after his playing days ended as a goaltending coach. Of course, his developmental capacity was noteworthy, considering that two of his earliest proteges in the form of Ron Hextall and Pelle Lindbergh. Both won Vezina trophies very early in their respective careers. It was significant for Lindbergh, especially considering that he grew up a Philadelphia Flyers fan and like a happenstance sort of thing when it was not very popular for them to do so. Of course, for European individuals who are involved in the hockey sphere to latch on to them, like it was not a common thing at that time, considering that he just was attracted to the logo when he saw it in either like a book or a magazine. And then, of course, was vindicated when the mini dynasty started. And he just poured over Perrant tape endlessly. And it's just, it's interesting, of course, with despite his career in life being notably truncated, it was good, at least in the short time that Lindbergh was here, that he was able to have, just have his childhood dreams come true and be mentored by someone he looked up to, and to have great success doing so. It's just like, that's about as important a part of the Bernie Perrant canon as his playing accomplishments. I don't know. This is another one where I feel like I could talk about this for a long time, but I just want to say rest in peace to both of these gentlemen, and condolences to affected people in that sphere, which quite a number of Rangers fans, commentators, analysts had plenty to say about how Giacomin's career impacted them. And of course, we had reflections of from the likes of Rick Tocchet today on how Perrant was one of the individuals who made him most welcome, feel the most welcome in the organization when he first entered it as a player years ago. It's just like, a reminder about the fact that foundational figures are leaving us in many spheres in entertainment and sports without really successors of that stature in just terms of impact for someone to replace them. Or just like supplant them in the succession line. It's just a grim reality that people involved in different realms, including ones that we're active in, such as the musical sphere, have been confronted with a lot this year. So it's been tough. But just all my thoughts and sympathies go out to family members, teammates, and just anybody else who was impacted by these two phenomenal goaltenders and just very prominent figures passings. Shifting into current events now, we can now say that competitive hockey is being played again in the junior context. Of course, most notably, we had the CHL return in full force this past weekend, or this incumbent weekend, I suppose. Excuse me. Let's see. I guess the marquee matchup, arguably, was and most certainly for the OHL, was the season opener for the hold on. Yeah, let me just double check. Okay, yes. For the London Knights, as their season started at home at Canada Life Place, uh, it was, of course, the banner raising ceremony for their Memorial Cup victory last season. Um, and the Memorial Cup was present in the building, as was OHL Commissioner Brian Crawford. Uh, and all the celebratory occasions were outstanding. But in the very first competitive game of hockey that I watched this season, the London Knights built a 2-0 lead over the course of the second period, only to allow 2 unanswered goals in the third. And subsequently, Jacob Terrien of the Owen Sound Attack scored on the power play to complete the comeback in overtime, therefore entailing that this banner-raising ceremony probably did not go the way that they had scripted it. It certainly was satisfying for me to have my first competitive hockey game that I consumed as a viewer in the 25-26 season, not counting international play, played out that way. But yeah, I'm sure they would take that one back if they could. Notably, also the first franchise games of the newest member of the QMJHL in the form of the Newfoundland Regiment were played as the successors of the Acadie Bathurst Titan, or Titan, if we're using the French pronunciation, of course, were set against the defending QMJHL champions in the form of the Moncton Wildcats. In their first competitive game as a franchise, the Newfoundland Regiment defeated the Moncton Wildcats by a score of 7-5, with Tyson Gogun notably having 2 goals and 2 assists and a +2 for the first star of the game. So certainly an entertaining start to things, but that was not all for them, as they subsequently won the second match by a score of 5-4 in an overtime victory in which Louis-Francois Bellinger tallied the overtime winner 1 minute and 49 seconds into the extra stanza. Certainly, is there a possibility that this is not really representative of meaningful competitive aspirations in the long run? Sure, but it's certainly an exciting way to get things kicked off. That I imagine years from now will be looked back in a very memorable light. Of course, on the other side of the spectrum, the Penticton Vs started their stint in the WHL this past weekend. Let's see. The first game of their franchise's existence did not go out the way that they would have liked, as they were defeated by the Victoria Royals by a score of 5-0 on the road at the Save-On Foods Memorial Center Arena. Sorry. Ethan Eskett notably stopped 26 shots in his shutout victory for the first star of the game, while Hayden Moore had a goal and an assist and a +2 for the second star, while newly appointed captain and arguably the most significant cultural staple from previous seasons in the form of Reggie Newman, had 1 goal and 2 assists and a +2 for the third star of the game. While Penticton did not start this off in the way that they would have liked, Victoria is also in new territory as well, with the departures of Cole Resney and Keaton Verhoff, both to the University of North Dakota, amongst other major losses, including previous captain Justin Kipke on the back end, Nate Miskey on defense. Of course, another NHL drafted prospect to the NCAA environment. Some age outs, such as Kenta Isagai, who of course now is playing for the Ontario Reign in the AHL. Brendan Lazowski, another NCAA bound player, amongst others. And of course, the season is starting on difficult footing as there are some injuries to their camp, including most notably Eli McCamey, who will likewise be attending UND next season. Was ironically an ex-Penticton V himself in their BCHL incarnation, and has been one of the most touted prospects in his age bracket. And has some anticipation around him ahead of this. Let's see, ahead of not this next draft, but 2027. He has been one of the most hyped prospects in his, alongside the likes of, Landon DuPont for a considerable amount of time now. Certainly had a very good CSSHL career at Shawinigan Lake School. Not great for Victoria entering the season wounded, but they did get things kicked off the way they wanted to. Of course, there's a bit of redemption for Penticton as they subsequently defeated the Vancouver Giants by a score of 5-1. In the next matchup, which took place last night, Brady Burney was the first star for Penticton with 1 goal and 1 assist to his name and a +2, while Ryden Evers had a goal which had him earning the second star and ultimately stood as the game winner. Other goal scorers included Chase Valiant, Britton Alstead, and Diego Johnson for Penticton. As they were able to rise to the occasion, notably scoring these 5 goals on just 19 shots on net, so a very efficient offensive performance by them. And it was a pretty good opening weekend overall for the Canadian Hockey League in this new phase of Dev Hockey. And hopefully representative of an exciting season to come. I certainly will be monitoring certain individual talents that remain in that, sphere going forward that I'm, sort of interested to see the progress of. A lot of people seem to be really eager, as I have been for some time, for Logan Howry of the London Knights, for example, who seems to be getting more eyes on him. By the way, London actually, he did score a goal in that game, but London also fell to the Windsor Spitfires 4-1 last night. So speaking of teams in new eras, but one that is having, a bit of a tough adjustment period. That seems to be what's going on for them currently. Notably, 2026 draft eligible Ethan Belche of Windsor scored a goal and an assist in that game. So, yeah, a bit of a rough go, but it was good to see, Howry had some good offensive shifts in the season opener, so it's nice to have his efforts rewarded. But the team as a whole is leaving something to be desired currently. This new phase with so many graduates to pro environments or, in the case of someone like Austin Elliott, alongside many other CHL players to college down in the U.S. There might be some teeth cutting here. Maybe this is a transitional phase for the Knights, which understandably so with having had such a ridiculous outgoing class including but not limited to the likes of the aforementioned, but also Denver Barkey, Easton Cowan, uh, and just so many other big time contributors. Of course, they're without. That might not last. Of course, camps play a part in this as well. They could very well be seeing Sam Dickinson return before the season is up, but we'll see. Um, but yeah, that about wraps it up for the first Liam CHL corner of the season. Anyway,
Yeah, most of my leagues are still waiting to get rolling. Not a ton of news coming down the pipeline, and the PWHL as people wait with bated breath for the schedule release, which is a little surprising that it has not come out yet. A lot of good content coming from us. I am continuing to work in the background on my PWHL off-season articles. I was working on New York for y'all because I forgot how the alphabet goes, but those will come out probably towards the end of the month, the start of October for the next couple, assuming we're going to have at earliest late November season start. Which is really frustrating as a fan, knowing that that league might be seeing not one but two stoppages for play this year, since the IIHF World Championships do not take a fucking break in Olympic years in women's hockey historically. So that's going to be something that is logistically kind of going to be a pain in the ass for that league with 8 teams and 30 games. So very interested for that schedule drop to see how much the fans have an unpleasant experience, and the players for that matter, because instead of having everybody sitting around shooting social media videos about Boston patisseries and coffee shops in the middle of April, now we're going to have fucking players doing that shit in February too. So that's where we're on that front. Division three college hockey rosters are starting to roll out, as well as schedules across the country. Not a lot of movement on that on the MassCAC so far in terms of getting rosters and schedules out. Still waiting for our MCLA fans. Still waiting for a head coach announcement on that one. It's taken everything in me not to put a lampoon job out there, or a harpoon job. Sorry, we're hunting whales for the questionable. No, I guess lampoon is the right word here. The fact that they quietly relieved their coach of his duty right before the season, putting them in an almost identical but somehow shittier spot than Salvi Regina, which is really tells you all you need to know about their current state of their hockey program, where at least, Salvi got absolutely destroyed in the public media for their shitty decision making from their athletic director. Like, I really have to take my hat off and give a round of applause to MCLA's athletic department right now for being so fucking irrelevant that nobody besides me has even talked about this on a live stream or an article until now. So really great work by their administration to turn what was the only D3 hockey team besides Hobart to have the national media attention on it last spring, to being so fucking irrelevant that you shit canned your coach in the middle of September and literally no one cares. Um, but hey, man, you guys do you. The MassCAC is doing a great job trying to buoy their women's program now that Plymouth State has also joined the LEC. So the MassCAC and MCLA just continue on some Mickey Mouse antics, which, I'm not really surprised by, but it's definitely going to make it very difficult to continue to give the MassCAC the support that their players deserve as a media entity if the league itself and some of the athletic directors can't get their shit together. Really difficult that the LEC may be, as we reference here a lot, they're going to just play with rabbits and live on the fat of the land in the northeastern part of college hockey.
Start spreading the news.
The sound of the I gotta clip a reel together, maybe a sad little reel, in cap cut of like the mask walking away, and out of respect to At the Gates, because it's what they would have wanted, use the shotgun sample from Suicide Nation as just the mask becomes more irrelevant than they already are. Shout out to Tompa, R.I.P. Needed at least one At the Gates reference in this episode for him.
You know, maybe, but no, I'm not. I, I don't know. I have this thought right now. It's pertaining to that infamous "Just Do It" T-shirt they had with the Nike logo flipped upside down, so it looked like a gun. Uh, I, I'm not gonna finish my thought on that, but you can probably kind of assume where it landed. Like, I don't know. There are some people that shirt fits, I would say.
Uh,
Another thought I had was on a similarly satirical note. Now, is it as good? Would it be as good of a lampoon job as that parody of spaghetti westerns from National Lampoon magazine that I sent a while back?
no, no. You know, I had the problem is I had a pretty good mental rough draft of what this would have looked like. And I didn't have the time nor the motivation to actually go out and find credible sources to just bury an irrelevant program in North Adams, Massachusetts for letting go of their coach. Um, but man, it could have been something. Could have been something good. And I feel bad for the guys that stuck around to play this year. Finding that out when it's too late to hit the portal now that D3 hockey is suffering the consequences of the forbidden door being open.
Yeah. Oh, was it? Yeah, hey, I mean, the one good thing about that is if you had pulled the trigger on it, you would have guaranteed to have at least drawn some interest from our boy Brian McGonigal, considering the guy apparently will, you know, consume and promote literally any uh, content related to the ice hockey program for men's, at least, of the institution once known as North Adams State College.
Once the new coach is announced and they drop their roster, I do owe them their annual off-season primer. So that's probably going to be a spoiler alert. That's going to be probably where I start to maybe have some less than favorable things to say about the current administration. They're well paying, like acknowledging the great players on that team that are persevering through this. Your Easton Moores, your Shane Greens, but really highlighting how they're going to try to persevere in this season. Sorry, every time we say Forbidden Door, I just keep thinking about fucking Kazuchika Okada, and I just needed to say that because it's never been said on this podcast. Um, yeah. No, though, like there are some great players on that team. They have an easier schedule than they've had now that, UMass, Dartmouth, and Plymouth have departed, but like it's going to be really difficult. They still have the same shitty rink that they've had. As far as I know, the locker rooms aren't there. Adam Brunner has departed. Alex Ferris is retired from hockey due to a hip injury, and they lost one of the top 10 goalies in the country due to retirement as well. So like, I don't understand the logic of why move on from their coach now, and why not just shut the doors on the program, because it's inevitably where this is headed.
Yeah. I had a thought. Uh, God. Oh yeah, no, never mind. I I think I went. I took where I was gonna go with it anyways. I think I did actually espouse what I originally had in mind, just not in the exact uh, terminology I had in mind originally. But uh, speaking of the collegiate environment, though, um, so some developments that have occurred in Hockey East, which resumes play in a couple. Well, I guess yeah, basically next week at this point. Yeah. Um, so a few days ago, it was announced that the men's championship will also include, of course, played at TD Garden. Will feature a youth hockey skills competition hosted by Pro Ambitions starting this season. Um, I don't know what the long-term aspirations are for this, if any, but at minimum, you can expect that at the 2026 edition of this year's, big dance for that conference. Of course, 5 days ago, also the coaches poll was released for both men's and women's. Uh, as one would anticipate with its highly lauded recruiting class, Boston University led the way in the voting with 105 points, including seven first place votes for the men's poll. Providence was behind with 91 via three first place votes. Also being to their name, I butchered that sentence, but that's okay. Let's see. UConn was notably third place with 90 points despite not receiving a single first place vote, although Maine did receive one and was right behind them at 87th, which is funny. Boston College is in fifth with 85. And I kind of understand why there's a power gap between them and the rest of the pack, because, I mean, even though this incarnation of the team is not going to be as stacked as the last couple of seasons rosters have been, they're still going to be very good, and there's a considerable amount of separation between the likes of them and, your Northeasterns, your UMass Amherst, your Merrimack's, but moving down the list, Amherst is right there at sixth, but with, of course, that 21-point gap with 64. Seventh place is a tie between UMass Lowell and Northeastern, which I really can't bring myself. I get this from a strictly quantitative standpoint, but I can't bring myself to think that UML and Northeastern are going to be on precisely even footing this coming year, because I think, if nothing else, the means by which UML has built their roster and recruited, particularly taking advantage of, as I was expecting from the very beginning, that WHL pipeline. They're equipped to play their style of hockey. And with, you're going to have this phenomenal defensive personnel, with Luke Shipley and Nate Miskey being, the highlights from that. And then, of course, the OHL's Windsor Spitfires product in the form of Tanias Matherin patrolling the back end. Some respectable offensive contributions from Diego Budazzoni, who, of course, will now be playing alongside his brother Mirko, which, is just something that it encourages coalescence and, chemistry right from the jump, even just in a cultural sense, never mind the vague possibility they might be on the same line. We'll see. And then, of course, having this group in front of Austin Elliott, who, I kind of anticipate is the guy who is going to be receiving most of the starts this year, to take nothing away from Nikola Goich, who I think was a, respectable USHL pickup. It's just like, Elliott has this ridiculous junior career experience built up in such a competitive environment. Was basically flawless, losing only one game that entire run. And throughout that whole postseason, uh, run of domination. Well, I guess if we're only counting the OHL playoffs, then yeah, we're counting, I guess, two if you count that nothing burger round robin loss to the Medicine Hat Tigers, which was avenged. You know, uh, no, I'm not going to say sevenfold. It was avenged thoroughly by way of a victory in the Memorial Cup final. Just these three cumulative losses throughout that entire run combined between regular season OHL playoffs and Mem Cup, uh, and just this ridiculous consistency, and accrual of meaningful experience and reps in a dev hockey environment. Uh, Prior to this collegiate run, like this team is going to be better than people expect, as I've been saying from the jump. Uh, I and it's a shame that they don't have like great PR going into this, but it'll just make it all the more satisfying. And hey, I was vindicated by the fact that I am a known UConn believer for this coming year, and apparently the coaching environment agrees with me. But anyways, moving on to the bottom of the barrel here, Merrimack is expected at ninth by consensus opinion with only 33 points to their name. New Hampshire, 31 points for 10th. And, of course, Vermont, perpetually in redheaded stepchild mode is ranked bottom with only 23 points. Moving on to the women's poll, it's pretty tight at the top as both UConn and BU received five first place votes, 86 points and 82 points respectively for the 1 and 2 spots. Not far behind is Northeastern with 76. Boston College came in fourth with 64. Fifth place was Providence with 61. A lot of competitive parity at the very top of this, I would say. Then, of course, that's when the power gap kicks in with, God, I have a bit of a hiccup going on there. I'll be all right. New Hampshire comes in at 6th with 44 points. Maine, 41, tied with Vermont for that 7th spot. Then Holy Cross, 27, and Merrimack rounds it out with 18. I do think probably like the dark horse here, who isn't even really a dark horse, but I think Northeastern might, I could potentially see them pulling off a bit of a surprise and being like the top of the pile from those like juggernauts at the very top of the poll. That's really the only potential curveball I can think of, but it is going to be, there's going to be some entertaining games played between that, top five, especially in the conference this coming year. I don't know. There's not a lot. There's not really as much to say because I mean, the women's collegiate environment. Of course, now it's there's more scrutiny for how it's transforming as like a pro pipeline now that there's a stable league that has mostly competent management at the very top, good marketing, et cetera, et cetera. But it's not undergoing the same drastic changes that the men's are, which of course now the latest recruiting headlines include a big strike, I guess, to the Hornets' nest in the form of Cruz Lucius and Jack Beck, both Pittsburgh Penguins prospects who already have a considerable amount of minor league pro experience to their names, as well as, of course, Graham Sword, who played primarily with. Hold on, let me check on this. Yeah, he has some a minor amount of experience with the Manitoba Moose, the 2 games to his name last year in the AHL. But yeah, mostly Norfolk Admirals experience, 47 games last year. He will be playing at Quinnipiac University, while the aforementioned Lucius and Beck will both be at Arizona State University, with the rationale from the D1 Council having been as part of like the same swooping judgment as the CHL Forbidden Door opening, uh, being that low-level pros like that are allowed to compete in that environment so long as they made below a certain monetary threshold, which like I can unpack this in multiple layers. So, for one thing, it's not like we haven't seen guys play pro over, you know, in Europe in affiliate stints, such as, the couple of SHL games that Tom Villander played before his time at Boston University, for one example. And then, of course, with NIL, a lot of student athletes have already made considerably more money than these guys have made via their low-level pro, minor league, whatever you want to call it, contracts. So, like, it's not unfathomable, but like, it's definitely the most striking and curious example of how this environment is becoming more competitive and going to have like a higher quality of play in the coming times. Like it's definitely the most fascinating transformation that's happened on a micro level, you could say.
For sure, definitely something that I don't think was as time has gone on has felt as surprising as an outcome here. I kind of am curious to see what that's going to look like in the future, solely in the sense of does it open up a little fucky wucky back door in player dev where guys go to the SP out of juniors for better career and playing experience and then try to backdoor their way into D1 later? Definitely could create some really interesting career dev paths.
Oh, 100%.
I will say though, like, to pay homage, or not homage, but properly recognize another recently deceased player. When you look at how Orca Weisblatt had gone from the
Yep.
SP to the Fed and then had signed a coast contract here at 25 years old before the tragedy that befell him last weekend.
Mhm.
That kind of career dev, what could that look like where a guy gets those reps in the Fed, gets those reps in, the SP, of course, before the age of 23 and 24, and then, by the age of 20 has the ability to, maybe go show up to a Mercyhurst or a Lindenwood and, kind of, make a name for himself, to quote Channing Tatum's Gambit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a really good example. It's good also that he got a mention in this episode because he certainly would have. I didn't intend for that to go by the wayside at all. It was something I was thinking about early this week, especially with the magnitude. Having tracked like you know his brother Oasis career pretty closely in recent times, and also just knowing the magnitude of that story, like it's definitely one of the saddest. Considering the family background, having been born to a mother who was deaf and was their sole caretaker, and no, almost nearly having to sacrifice hockey as a result. Before another family intervened and kept things going. But like it's definitely like a framework you know to consider, and also like that's very impactful and almost like prescient about what's going on nowadays, and also just a meaningful narrative to have injected into this episode.
On a much lighter note, and I know it's just preseason, but watching Sonny Milano go to town on the Bruins was it's nice to see. I gotta say, I'm really glad he's into some preseason games this year. Again, on a much lighter note, I haven't seen. If anybody out here has time to really peep the recent Sonny Milano player shot, he's got some really, really strong Zach De La Roca energy going right now with that fucking hair, and I am here for it.
How long? Not long. Just what you reap is what you sow.
I did not remember that I am only 1 day older than him until right now, as I have his player profile open.
Wow.
He is much better than I am at hockey, obviously, and at this point, I will say he has better hair.
It'd be like that sometimes.
I mean, he might not go on to do anything meaningful for the rest of his career in the NHL, but the fact that he had like Trevor Zegras' greatest highlight being an assist on a Sonny Milano goal, I think, he has his role in the contemporary hockey highlight zeitgeist of screaming Michigan, Michigan before batting that shit right under the goal, the top crossbar. They all said coming out of college, one of the best hand-eye players of his generation. I don't think that was ever disproved. That he's still certainly one of the most skilled players in professional hockey. It's just unfortunate that the rest of the game did not come together. In the words of I want to say Kevin Weeks talking about Mikhail Bodker about 12 years ago. I think sometimes his skates are faster than his brain.
The video package I just saw, speaking of preseason broadcasts, from the Islanders feed, was sad because, like, I understand that they certainly made the most of it and got a very consequential, potentially, future player in the form of Matthew Schaefer. Likewise, someone scarred by a tragic story, and is a very upstanding citizen. But like, why are you giving yourselves a pat on the back in a hype up video about the fact that you had a horseshoe up your ass? Because like it literally showed the ping pong balls from the fucking lottery draw at the very beginning of it. That's literally the most fucking small dick energy shit, which is an appropriate reference to make considering I just saw Pete Davidson as well. Um, uh, like that I've seen in NHL marketing this year at least.
In the antithesis of small dick energy, but also speaking on that Flyers Islanders game, because it was actually one of the first things I saw tonight as I was looking through the box scores as this podcast has gone along. Are you as intrigued and mildly excited that Nesbitt cracked an apple on that first goal?
I don't know. I'm not reading into that anything with him like at all at this stage. Not even because these games don't count, which they don't.
Yeah.
It's just that I think that really he is very much the epitome of like any sort of payoff there is with him and whatever development he undergoes is not going to be something that's evident until like 4 or 5 years down the road. Like he's just one of those sort of players and like was drafted under such pretenses, considering like his physical makeup that I don't really think I'm not gonna think anything of him until like we're at the stage where you're supposed to have seen something from that dev project.
I fuck with that. I did not expect to see his name on a box score tonight, so
I mean it's like you know I think there is a chance here. It's not terribly surprising when you unpack that, like, Jet Luchenko probably will have a similar arc when all is said and done as well. And his early NHL looks, both preseason and, like, rookie camp and that cup of coffee, like, kind of had similar impacts. You might end up seeing the same thing. I don't know if they're going to handle it the same way, but with them being similar guys, it doesn't require much of a stretch of the imagination when you like kind of break it down that way.
is this where we pivot into our big finish this week?
Sure. So as an extension of my Yukon, man, hold on just a second. Uh, so effectively, uh, as we know, I am very much like a full on agate prop mode for the Yukon men's ice hockey team. Um, like I literally think that's the only way I can put it at this point. But I think about that roster, and I consider the place that a number of those guys have in like the hierarchy for best players at their position that some of those guys have on that team. I'm gonna you know call my shot again, as I correctly called Cutter Gauthier being a Hobie Baker finalist a few years ago. I didn't. I said that he had a decent chance at winning it, which didn't happen. But of course, I didn't. The implication there that he's going to be a strong candidate, and that ended up coming true. I kind of anticipate the same from Joey Moldoni at this point. He's a guy who's been improving year by year and is already, one of the best forwards in the entire conference. And I think that, you know, the combination of him, being what he is, taking another step in this, coming year, with him having also plentiful experience as an upperclassman at this point, and also probably being the guy who's going to be the driving force on a very you know, deep team with plenty of guys to play off of and to feed and bring the best out of. I would not be surprised if he is, you know, quantifiably one of the best players in collegiate ice hockey this coming year. Like I think as an individual, he's a guy I very much have my eye on, and I think we can expect some big things from him in the 25-26 campaign.
For me this week, really looking ahead to the first couple weeks of the women's collegiate ice hockey schedule. Really excited to see BC and BU get buzzsawed. I mean, how they match up against Minnesota. Um, but Colgate and Ohio State having a rematch from last year's national tournament, also notable. But in week two, the matchup I am most excited to watch because it's going to probably be an absolute beatdown of gigantic proportions. However, I'm very excited to see how they fare as the University of Maine and the second weekend of the season will be traveling out to Wisconsin to play the best team in the country, where we will see Kristen Sims, Layla Edwards, and New Hampshire's own KK Harvey face off against the Black Bears. And, one of those things that I talk about and think about a lot in the ecosystem of collegiate sports. And a shout out to Hockey East Men's for the way they do their schedule, and they're not like, and I'm going to throw a little bit of shade at Gavin McKenna, even though he has nothing to do with the decision making, where Penn State ducked a lot of high end non conference competition. I really love hockey schools going out there and just deciding to rail against the best teams in the country. UML playing Western Mich, Maine playing Denver this year in men's. But just to see both the University of Maine and later the University of Vermont's women taking on Wisconsin, which is an absolute unit of a program, and really seeing what that experience could do for Maine specifically after the opening weeks of the season, where sometimes when you get to play a team of that caliber, you might end up learning a lot of key and important lessons that you can kind of utilize for games against the lesser foes down the stretch.
For sure. It is funny. Like, I do think that the Nittany Lions did basically buy and recruit their way into becoming what it you at minimum you can't call them a non-traditional program anymore. Uh, I think with some of their returnees as well as McKenna and Jackson Smith's arrivals, that they are rightfully seated in seated on a high throne. But I also definitely think their strength of schedule is going to have them with a lot of empty calorie victories to their name this year that probably place them in higher esteem than they deserve. Which, like, obviously they do deserve plenty of credit, but I think their national title hopes are probably going to end up being exaggerated.
Yeah, we could be wrong, but I don't think we will be.
Uh, so that about covers it for this week. The written content stream should look pretty solid for this coming week. Uh, Hopefully, there's also enough for us in the content way, although preferably without some of the heavy connotations of some of the things we talked about this week, to provide a satisfactory episode again. Next time around, but we'll see what comes. We are at the very much, very close to the point where consistently we will have plenty to talk about. So at least there won't be much more sacrifice or filler or anything else that really needs to be done for much longer. Which consequently, I think will have us more engaged with this topic than we've been. It was a very dry summer on like the professional circuit, as has been mutually acknowledged many times. There are some more interesting transformations in other contexts, but uh, you know, the tone was not set very well at the top, let's just say. But I think direct engagement with these very interesting stories should maybe shake things up a bit for us. And we're, grateful for the support that we've received, and that the engagement will, likely be equally significant for what we do next. So with that all said, regarding tonight, we of course appreciate everybody who tuned in. We thank everyone who is checking us out on Spotify and YouTube. We'll be back again very soon. Take care, everybody. Have a great night.